Hello, ni hao. Good day, modern gods and goddesses. Welcome to this video. My name is Chang Mijos, and I'm gonna be on your screens for like a few minutes, and I hope that's okay. As I am part of the Chinese Literature Reporters, I'm going to present to you top 10, well, maybe not top 10, but random without proper order. I'm going to give you 10 famous literary figures that you may or may not know yet in the Chinese literature. So let's go. So the first one we have Sima Chan, and I'd like to inform you guys first and foremost that I'm not really good at this. Maybe there is a possibility that I cannot say their names or pronounce their names correctly. I'm not really good at Mandarin. I didn't study it, and I know some of you guys have studied Mandarin, and just know that I will try my best to pronounce them correctly. So the first one is Sima Chan. He was a male, and he was the first noted Chinese historian during the Han Dynasty. And he was also the author of the book titled The Records of the Grand Historian, and is also called Shiji. The book is also called Shiji in Chinese term. And the book contained a lot of history of China, of course. And by that, he was also considered as the father of Chinese historiography. And he believed that the purpose of writing the history was to teach rulers how to govern well. So that is Sima Chan. And this is the Records of the Grand Historian book, as you can see in your screens. So let's proceed to the next one. We have Cao Sui-chin. Okay, I hope that's right. It's Cao Sui-chin, and he was a writer during the Qing Dynasty. And he was best known for being the author of the book The Dream of the Red Chamber. It is a romance novel and one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. So there's like a thing, like it's called the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. You can search the 4 other 3 of them, but this one is one of them. The Dream of the Red Chamber, and it was made so good that it even had a TV series adaptation in 2010, right? So let's proceed to the next one. So I forgot. So this is the book, The Dream of the Red Chamber. So let's proceed to the next one. We have here Luo Guanzhong. I hope that that's right. And he was a writer during the Ming Dynasty and best known as the author of one of the 4 great classical novels entitled Romance of the 3 Kingdoms, which has historical and fictional parts that romanticizes and dramatizes the lives of feudal lords and their retainers. So that is Luo Guanzhong, and this is the book. And let's proceed to the next one. So the next one we have Wu Yangshu. And he is a poet, essayist, historian, calligrapher, and statesman. I forgot to write essayist. So he's also the leader of the reform movement of poetry and prose in the Northern Song Dynasty. And moreover, he introduced the simple ancient style in Chinese literature and sought to reform Chinese political life through principles of classical Confucianism. His poems are generally relaxed, humorous and self-deprecatory that he even named himself the Old Drunkard for his pseudonym. So funny, right? I forget to write there, but it's okay. And this is an excerpt from that poem, the Shui Wang Tingji. Oh my God, I hope that is right. So the Old Drunkard's Pavilion in English translation. So this is a famous line. The old toper cares not for the wine. His interest lies in the landscape. Deep, right? So let's proceed to the next one. Okay. And also, the meaning, or like this line, is an idiom to describe someone with an ulterior motive, you know. So let's go to the next one. Move on to the next one. We have Li Pai. So Li Pai. Okay, so that's it. One of the country's greatest poets. Like he is one out of two greatest poets during the Tang Dynasty, and his poetry is known for its clear imagery and conversational tone. And this is like so much, right? To write about 900 poems. So fortunate. And this is his famous poem, The Quiet Night Thought. So I hope you can read it. I'd like to read it. So, thoughts in the silent night. Beside my bed, a pool of light. Is it hoarfrost on the ground? I lift my eyes and see the moon. I bend my head and think of home. Beautiful, right? Let's proceed to the next one. Move on to the next one. We have, so this one is Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. And he is a Chinese general, military strategist, a writer, and philosopher who lived in the period of ancient China. And he became famous for being the author of the Chinese classic book, The Art of War. And, you know, it was very influential. It was an influential work of military strategy, The Art of War. And it is also the earliest known treatise on war and military science. It's like the how you win in a battle, you know. So this is it. It's like 5 working fundamentals. And let's proceed to the next one. And the next one we have Tu Fu, like that. So he is friends with the other one, Li Pai. Do you remember the in my past slides? There's a Li Pai and he's friends with it during the Tang Dynasty. And I told you before that there were like only 2 greatest poets, and that was Li Pai and this guy, Du Fu. He is a Chinese poet politician in the Tang Dynasty, and he was considered to be the greatest of all time by many literary critics for having written more on poetics and painting than any other writer of his time. He wrote a lot, and his style of poetry expresses alarmingly sensitive ideas overflowing with misery. And this is his most famous poem, The Ballad of an Old Cypress, which celebrates and laments the eponymous cypress being great but ultimately unused. The next one we have Lu Xun. Lu Xun, and he is one of China's most famous fiction authors, poets, and essayists. and he is also considered to be the father of modern Chinese literature. It's because he was the first serious author to write using modern colloquial language. And here are some of his famous works: A Madman's Diary, The New Year's Sacrifice. And The New Year's Sacrifice is a story about women's rights, the dangers of complacency. And the last one we have My Old Home, a tale about memory and ways we relate to the past. And we have here the next one, Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, and he is a philosopher best known for being the philosopher who founded the philosophical system of Taoism, and traditionally regarded as the author of Tao Te Ching. And though the author has been debated through history, Taoists believe in spiritual immortality, where the body joins the universe after death. So that is the main thing of Taoism. And let's look up some of his famous quotations. Okay, this one. The best fighter is never angry. And be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. True. And last but not the least, definitely not the least, we have Confucius, the philosopher, poet, politician, and an educator of ancient China. Like, what is China without him, right? He is the most famous, influential philosopher in China and even across the world. And he is also the founder of Confucianism, an ancient Chinese belief system which focuses on the importance of personal ethics and morality. And he's also the author of the Book of Odes, dating from 1000 to 600 BC, comprising around 305 poems, which is also the earliest collection of Chinese poetry. And he was a very wise man, though he was not yet very famous when he was still alive. And 5 centuries before Christ, he set forth his own golden rule: do not impose on others what you do not wish for yourself. So that is it, Confucius. And I know you guys are already familiar with him. And that's it. The 10 famous literary figures in Chinese literature. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and thank you so much for your patience. And yes, I hope that you got something out of it, as I somehow did for looking for them. And just know that there are still many famous literary figures in the Chinese literature, and I just picked 10 of them, so to be like a little brief. And again, thank you so much, and you may now go and sprinkle your comments in the comment box. Thank you.